Great, Rodrigo. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. And it's exciting that there's so many of you here from so many parts of the world. Um, I am faculty in the program in art, and I've been teaching here for 15 years. I'm also an associate dean for the School of Art. Um, and I'm with my colleague, Shirley.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming to this event. My name's Shirley Tse, also faculty in the program in art. And I've been here since 2001, so you can all do the math. And I can't wait to see this beautiful presentation put together by Michael.
Okay, great. Rodrigo, can you see the presentation? Everything looks okay?
You stop screen. Oh, wait, sorry. I just more people joined. So I think you stopped screen sharing, Michael.
Oh,
Okay. Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to look at as many of you as possible while also looking at my presentation. Okay.
there you go.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
so. Share, yeah. No, it should
Now you
work.
just click full screen.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Too many windows.
Looks like it's showing the whole desktop.
There we go.
Yay! All right, great. Sorry about that. Okay, so there are people here who are interested in the BFA and MFA program, and I thought we would just kind of go through the curriculum for both BFA and MFA programs, and also talk a little bit about BFA transfers. I think it's important to say at the outset that all of us who teach in the art program work with BFAs and MFAs. And in fact, we have a number of classes that include upper level BFAs and MFAs. And a few classes that will occasionally include people from BFA 1 to MFA 2, although there aren't too many of those. But it's an important aspect of our, I think, community and ethos, and that all of us are working with BFAs and MFAs. And so we're both interested in talking to all of you about what we do in the art program at CalArts. Okay. All right, so here is the first and second years of the BFA curriculum, and both Shirley and I have taught foundation,
Yes,
and have spent a lot of time working with BFA 1s and 2s. I'm currently teaching a BFA 2 art history class, which is required for our undergrad students. We've structured things in such a way that most of your required art program curriculum will happen in the first 2 years. And it happens in a number of foundation classes that include a foundation seminar, as well as a foundation studio class, and an art history class called What Makes It Art. And that's in the first year, first semester. We've also added a new class this year called Foundation in Two Dimensions, which is not strictly required, but a very popular option for our BFA students who are interested in painting and drawing in particular. But the idea of Foundation Studio is that it will expose you to a number of different ways of working and making art. Foundation Seminar is really going to focus on how to think about art and talk about art. And it's something that we do a lot at CalArts at all levels, is focusing on thinking about art and talking about art. And so it's really important to have that foundation seminar where we can really help shape a kind of collective understanding of what we do in not only in the art school, but also as people working in the field of contemporary art. second year will include a post-foundation class, which helps bring together things like how to work in your studio, along with how to read certain kinds of theoretical texts or art historical texts, and put thinking together with making, along with critique, which we begin to introduce actually in the first foundation year. And then there are two modern art history classes, one covering modernism and the other covering postmodernism and contemporary art. And I've been teaching those on and off for most of the time that I've been here. Beyond that, the curriculum will include a lot of different kinds of studio classes and workshops, and it changes a little bit each semester, but it includes classes in drawing, painting, sculpture, ceramics, printmaking, video, sound, performance, and other things. There's a class this semester called Feminist Quilting Bee, and it's, I think, the first time we've offered a quilting class. So sometimes these things are based on faculty interest, and sometimes they're based on student interest and demand. So beyond that, every BFA student at CalArts is required to take 46 units of critical studies, so 120 of the total units you need to get a BFA. It will requires 46 units of critical studies. And those include classes in social sciences, theory, philosophy, writing, basically your general education, even some science classes. It's an art school, but we do have some science classes that are very popular.
You too as artist.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a sense, a very quick sketch of the BFA curriculum. And if people have particular questions, we can address those. And Ashlyn's somebody who has spent valuable time in our BFA program and can answer with lived experience a relationship to our curriculum. Okay, BFA 3 and BFA curriculum for years 3 and 4, things are very self-directed, and every student in our program gets their own studio. Every student is in a studio and sharing a studio, even in the first year. By the third year, and sometimes even in the second year, students are getting their own studios. Along with that is an expectation that students are really developing their own understanding of what it means to be an artist and what it means, what they want to be, what kind of artist they want to be. We're not here to dictate what kind of artist you are supposed to be. We don't have that kind of top-down hierarchical understanding of art education. We're really here to help you become the artist that you want to be and the best version of that artist. So there's a lot of room for independence and developing your own individual practice. That includes working in the studio. We try to help mentor you to give you guidance in terms of how to think about a studio and how to use it. It also includes independent studies with a variety of faculty, critique classes, and then you will have 2 solo exhibitions as an undergraduate, which is very unusual, but we really strongly believe in a model where our students are having opportunities to have solo exhibitions in our 7 galleries at CalArts. And these are an opportunity for us to give our students a review and to meet with them and talk with them about their progress and what they're doing. This week is the first week of new exhibitions of the school year, and we have some amazing shows up by our BFA 3 students who are having their mid-res shows up this week and their reviews. I think most of them were today, and then a number of them are having their opening receptions this evening after we talk. So anyways, it's really exciting for us to get to see the fulfillment of their work, especially the students that we've watched develop in our program since the foundation year.
I just want to emphasize the
please.
fact that is nationally speaking, there's not a lot of program that will the undergrad will have their own private studio by year 3.
Yeah.
And also have 2 solo show opportunity throughout the 4-year study. So that's really unheard of.
Yes.
So that's very I mean, in that sense, sort of echo what Michael spoke about earlier, that we're here to really help you find your own path and, you know, carve your own vision. And having those facility really does help to, you know, foster a sense of, you know, what your art practice should be. So.
Yeah, it's also, and I feel like I have to always emphasize this more and more, but it's also a place to try things out and make mistakes.
Yeah,
And
experimentation.
experimentation, falling on your face is permitted. We, of course, will talk about it. But I think it's really important also to have those kinds of opportunities where you can really try things and push yourself. And yeah, and see what it means to do something. And it's, you know, it's your exhibitions are shared with your community, but they don't have to be shared beyond that. And I think that's an important context in terms of putting yourself out there and putting your work into the world. If you want to put it out into the world further via social media or otherwise, one can, but also there's no pressure to do that. It's really part of your curriculum at school to have these exhibitions. Just to talk a little bit about BFA transfer curriculum, because I realize some of you who are here today might be interested in transferring in. And everybody comes in, all transfers are here for at least 2 years and sometimes 3 and sometimes 4, depending on how many transfer units you have. So much of what we said applies to transfer students as well. Students will have 2 shows, will have a studio, and your requirements will really depend on what kind of transfer units you have coming into the program. And so sometimes you can get waived out of certain things. Sometimes we will put you into post-foundation just to kind of help get you into a conversation with other students and form a cohort, because I think community is such an important aspect of CalArts and our students' time here. So if there are specific, every transfer is really a case-by-case situation. And when we look at your portfolio, we're really accepting you on your artwork and your statement, which are both incredibly important to us. And then we can figure out from there how many units you come in with and what classes you might need to take of the required classes. But
yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Rodrigo.
I was gonna say one thing about anyone who's interested in transferring, make sure you get all of your transcripts submitted by January 5th, which is the deadline. That's the #1 problem we have with transfer applicants, is that we do not have all of your previous transcripts, and that can severely delay your application. So if you're interested in transferring credits, we need to have the transcripts by January 5th. That's the best way for us to make this process very easy on you.
Perfect. Thanks, Rodrigo. MFA curriculum. All of our MFA students also have their own studios. All of our MFA students also have 2 shows. One called the Mid-Residency Exhibition that usually takes place in January of the first year of the MFA, and then a final show, which some people call a thesis show. We don't really call it that, but that takes place in the final semester of the 4 semesters of the program. Our MFA program is highly individuated. There are very few requirements. There's an MFA 1 critique class that almost all of our students take. It's not strictly required, but highly recommended, because it's a place where you get to meet your cohort and have a structured conversation around your work. Really develop a language, not only of critique, but a language, a way of talking about art with each other as a cohort and as a community. And it's an important way of integrating into the program and getting everybody kind of on the same field together. Beyond that, there's not a lot that's strictly required. Most of our students have some, like a balanced diet would include a seminar class or two, and I'll talk about some of some of those classes momentarily. A critique class, and there's usually multiple critique classes offered every semester, and then independent study. And it's also possible to take courses outside of the art program, whether it's a class in the photo media program or art and technology, which are within the art school, or a class from the music school or dance or film and video. I think a lot of our students are inherently interdisciplinary. I think most of our faculty is interdisciplinary as well. And so there's a lot of flexibility in our MFA program for students to really develop their own curriculum in conversation with a mentor. And every student at CalArts in every school, every program gets a faculty mentor. In what that means in each school and program differs. What it means in our program is that person is there to help you navigate the program, its curriculum, and they're also somebody who is one of the 3 faculty that will be on your review when you have those 2 reviews. Mentor does a lot of other things too, but it's all very, again, everything is very individuated. Everything is very case by case in terms of what the mentee wants and and who the mentor is. Students can also, yes, I hear some of you asking, yes, you can also change your mentor if it's not working out, or if you really want to work with somebody else instead. The reality is that most of our students in the MFA program are working closely with more than that one person. And so you might have somebody as your mentor who's helping you navigate the program and following your progress, but you're also having independent studies with another member of the faculty or taking classes regularly with another member of the faculty. So, I think most of our students in the MFA program and BFA program are engaged in very intensive conversations with multiple faculty members. The mentor is one of them that has a very specific, if also expansive role, okay? And so for the MFA, it's a 60-unit program, so you're taking roughly 15 units each semester. And you will get some credits just for having a show and having your review. But the rest is very much able to be shaped by you in consultation with your mentor. Sorry to keep happening. So these are just some recent classes. And I think one of the things I love about our program is that all of us get to develop our own curriculum. And many of us also teach required classes like art history or foundation. But alongside that, we're also teaching things that really come out of our own research interests as artists or writers or curators. Shirley's a visual artist. I'm a writer and a curator. But I think, in terms of the classes that each of us in the program develops, these are like important parts of our signature in terms of what we offer here. And they're often very responsive to the kinds of things that students are thinking about, as well as the kinds of things that we're thinking and talking about. So some of these classes have included Tech Nightmares, which is taught by Clara Lopez Menendez, who's currently one of the co-directors of the art program. Getting to Third, Beyond the Binary, very theory-driven class taught by Harry Dodge. Sculpture Seminar, Sustainability.
It's my class.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you just talked about, Michael, is it stemmed from my own research interest, because I make sculpture installation, and it's getting to a point where I kind of question, how do you make sculpture which involve the use of material, and then the use of material is invariably you have to linked to extractive industry, which is not sustainable. And then you have to think about transport and storage. There's a carbon footprint issue, and then there's a real estate issue, and then there's the economics of it. And on top of that, it's stressful to mix stuff in the world. So in this class, we kind of deal with sustainability on, multiple fronts. And then we do field trip, which is really fun.
Shirley loves doing field trips.
Yes.
Yeah. Music to Paint To, a class taught by Leisha Del Recio. That's this is a new class, but it's a kind of a hybrid. We have a lot of hybrid. We like hybridity.
Interdisciplinary.
Yeah, interdisciplinary hybridity. It's a class that's kind of a studio and a critique class, but also focused on relationship between studio practice and listening to music. And a lot of us are really into music. So I know that's a fun new class. Montage and Memory, it's a class our colleague Connie Hatch has been teaching for a long time. Survivalist Furniture is taught by Alexandria Carrion, who runs our Super Shop, which is our wood and metal shop. But all of our technical faculty also teach classes related to their shops or labs. Feminist Quilting Bee, I mentioned it before. This is being taught by one of our visiting faculty, Haley Lohman. And it's a studio class, but also so far has involved a field trip and reading. Ashlyn, are you in the class? Yeah. I could imagine you in that class. I know they just went to do a field trip to Los Angeles Contemporary Archives, which Hallie, who's teaching the class, founded this incredible archive in Chinatown, Los Angeles. And then Theaters of Refusal, Exhibition Politics and Poetics is a new class that I'm teaching this semester, focused on exhibition histories, covering the last 31 years. Really starting with the exhibition Theater of Refusal, Black Art and Mainstream Criticism by Charles Gaines, our longtime colleague and friend. An exhibition that he curated in 1993 at UC Irvine, along with the 1993 Whitney Biennial. But really thinking about questions of difference and questions of the minor or the marginal in relationship to exhibition histories over the last 30 years, and thinking very much about the present. And we're also doing a field trip. We're going to Charles Gaines's studio.
Oh.
And elsewhere, TBD. But anyways, so that's just a small sample of our curriculum that's sort of ever changing and shifting, and none of these classes are required, but they're all very popular and fun. Okay, faculty, a little about us. I'm going to start with Shirley.
Oh, it's me again. Do you see a installation shot of a show that's actually installed in Hong Kong at M+, and that is the so-called return show, or I think that's another terminology, that from the 2019 Venice Biennale Hong Kong Pavilion show. So it's called, in Italy, it was called Stakeholder. So, but when we went to Hong Kong, it's a slightly different installation. So we have a different name, and I kind of break it up into stake and holders.
Mm.
Yeah.
I unfortunately didn't get to see the Hong Kong iteration, but
so it's during COVID. I didn't go. I have to install it remotely.
Yeah. I got to see the Venice Hong Kong Pavilion in 2019, and yeah, it was extraordinary. But I've been a fan of Shirley's work for many years, long before I was her colleague, actually. Okay, this is me. I just published a new book on the composer Pauline Oliveros, and this actually came out of a class I taught here in fall 2019 called Pauline Oliveros for Artists. And it was really thinking about this singular historical figure, Pauline Oliveros, who's a musician, composer, performer, educator, but also thinking about listening practices and sound and music. And there are so many students working in the art program, which is just called the art program, but some people like to call fine arts or visual arts. But in fact, many of our art students are actually working in sound and other non-visual
Writing even.
Writing, my
Yeah.
goodness. So anyways, but this is an example of a number of things that I've put out in the world that come directly out of my classroom at CalArts. And it actually was an assignment that I had given to my class that I ended up giving to myself and doing for an entire year. This is Julie Tolentino, who is on leave, partial leave from us this semester, and in residence at Brown University. And this is an exhibition and a series of events and performances that Julie is doing called Body as Medium, Queer Lineages of Duration, Resonance, Excess. In the interest of time, I'm not going to describe all of these things, but please look into them if they seem interesting to you, and they should seem interesting to you. This is Harry Dodge, My Meteorite, which is a book that he published. A number of us are writers on this faculty and write about art and other things that somehow connect to art. Harry also works in sculpture, video, drawing, and was included in an important exhibition at the New Museum called Trigger Gender as a Tool and a Weapon in 2017. This is Leisha Del Recio, who's teaching the Music to Paint To class, show of hers from last year at Commonwealth and Council Gallery in Koreatown, Los Angeles. Leisha works with paint, collage, drawing, and her work is also very sculptural. There's that. I'm a big fan. This is William Ransom, who teaches sculpture and is currently teaching Foundation Studio, a work called American Idyll, Idyll. And a lot of his work is really tactile and has a lot of formal sculptural interest, but also deals with a lot of political content, which is obvious by the image we're showing you. This is Gloria Galvez, who is one of the co-directors of the art program. This is from a moth screening she did at a park near Highland Park just a few weeks ago. And I was there for it to see the moths. Moths and bats. She's been doing a lot of research on moths and bats, and she's also she has a certificate as a naturalist. So, but she's been co-teaching Foundation for the last couple of years as well as helping run an art program, which is plenty. Tom Lawson, who was dean of the art school for 30 years and remains a member of our faculty, is also the founding editor of a website called East of Borneo, which is focused on art histories and narratives specifically related to Southern California, often including CalArts faculty. Here we have a photograph by Harry Gamboa, who's a member of the photography faculty, and an article about Kishila Brook, who's also a member of the photo faculty. But East of Borneo also has a lot of incredible CalArts history. Tom also won the Rabkin Award, which is a really prestigious award for art critics. So Tom's a painter who's also a longtime art critic and also an editor. Again, interdisciplinary practices. We have some brand new faculty. This is Valeria Tizol Vivas, who just started teaching with us this semester and is currently teaching our post-foundation class. And she works in a lot of different media, including sculpture, performance, food, Rodrigo, I think you're in that photograph.
I am in that photograph, correct. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
I knew this day would come.
Full circle. And then this is Amy Yao, who actually is going to start teaching for us next semester. And this is a work that was installed recently at a really great exhibition at ICA LA, work called Foreign Investments, Botarga in Costa Mesa, which I don't have time to explain to you, but if you go to ICA's website, you can read about it. But anyways, we're excited to have our new colleagues and excited by the ideas and curriculum that they will bring with them. Just to quickly enumerate a few alumni among the hundreds or thousands out in the world doing amazing things. Galaporis Kim, who just won the very prestigious Heinz Award and has just been doing extraordinary things. Gala, actually, her last semester at CalArts was my first semester teaching at CalArts, so we just barely overlapped, but we're also very close. Her studio's 2 blocks from my house. I've been just thrilled to watch her gradually take over the art world. But I think one of the things I wanted to just quickly highlight is how important research is in so many of our students' work and the different ways in which research can manifest. Research doesn't always have to look the same way, but Gala's work is interested in the history of the exhibition of objects and the way that is tied to colonialist histories and narratives. And so she's really thinking about kind of institutional critique, but also using very traditional methodologies and materials at times, including, colored pencil and flash on paper to perform a kind of critique of institutional or museological collections. Made in LA last year, this is the biennial that takes place at the Hammer roughly every 2 years when there's not a pandemic. And so 4 of our graduates from our time teaching here were included in that exhibition, 3 of them BFAs. One was a BFA in the photo program, but also I worked closely with him. And then Kong Soong Lee, who was a graduate of our MFA program. So super exciting to see. And Roxana Piruzmand was in
My foundation.
your foundation
Yes.
class and went on a field trip to the Made in LA
Oh yeah, that
that
you
I
made.
curated
Yes,
in 2014.
yeah, exactly.
So anyways, we're proud of Roxana. Lauren Halsey, who took over the roof of the Met Museum. This is her final show as a BFA in the Lime Gallery, one of our 7 galleries in 2012. And Lauren was a transfer student who came to our program and has gone on to extraordinary things. Henry Taylor, who was a BFA in the art program, was kind of older BFA student, but had an extraordinary retrospective that was at Museum of Contemporary Art in Los Angeles and the Whitney Museum in New York in the last 2 years. And I was fortunate enough to see the show in both locations. Laura Owens, who got to do a 2-person show with Van Gogh. This is like every painter's dream. But really comes out of some of Laura's interest in installation and also thinking about institutions and museum structures, something that she's not always thought about in relationship to her work, but it has been an important part of her work since studying at CalArts with her mentor, Charles Gaines. And then Machine Project, which ran for 15 years in Echo Park. This is founded by Mark Allen, a graduate of our MFA program. And Machine Project was really this amazing community center that had art exhibitions, but more often had screenings, performances, workshops, and really became a important social hub. And this is just one example of the kinds of spaces that many of our alumni have created out in the world after leaving CalArts that fosters a kind of art world that extends the kinds of community relationships or social relations that are formed in grad school at CalArts and take them out into Los Angeles or elsewhere. But this is a really extraordinary example, and Machine Project's history is really special. Almost done, and then we'll take some questions, but this is the project archive. And every graduating student, BFA and MFA, can contribute to this. And if you want to look at more of it, here's a QR code. Rodrigo, I went over time, but this is something you should also know, is that at CalArts, we like to talk. And this is the fast version of me. Anyways, we have a lot we're excited about and always happy to share. But now we want to hear from you and any questions you have.
Thank you, Michael and Shirley. Everybody, we have around 15 minutes for questions. You can just put in the chat, please. If you cannot get to all of them today, feel free to email me. I'm going to put my email in the chat. I forgot to mention, I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions for the School of Art. So if you have any questions about the program in art or the other art programs as well, feel free to email me.